Long time no see. Yeah, I know I promised to do some Halloween themed movies this month. A lot of things came up, mostly family things, but another thing that kind of halted it was I kind of caught a bug, so I was kind of getting over it. I was a little bit sick. And, well, I did promise to those who follow me on the Twitter that I was going to review the 1985 Ron Daniel, whatever, film, uh, Teen Wolf. And to me, it's a classic. I just know the guy from the guy who made it. He's responsible for like one of the crappy sequels to Home Alone that nobody ever wanted. Um, Beethoven's Second. The K911 or K9PI or whatever it is with Jim Belushi. He's responsible for that. Well, he made this awesome movie. I think it's awesome in my opinion. It's one of the great ones. It was made in 1985. Well, it came out in 1985. I saw it when I was like around 8, 7 years old, and fell in love with the movie. You know, it's one of my favorites. I'll watch it almost every chance I get, whether it's Halloween, Christmas, whatever. And it stars Michael J. Fox as this, of course, adolescent, awkward, bumbling teen that basically, you know, he thinks he's basically a bum, loser, average, but then he basically hits his version of puberty, and it comes with a bunch of whole different caveats, such as, like, of course, he well, it's a metamorphosis, and he goes through a bunch of different little changes, such as hair everywhere, ears getting elongated, canine teeth, literally, and basically it turns into a tamer version of the Cowardly Lion from the Wizard of Oz, the classic Wizard of Oz, or Chewbacca's little nephew. That's what he turns into. He turns into a werewolf, hence the name Teen Wolf. And basically it starts off that they're playing, there's a basketball game going on between the Beavers and the Dragons. And of course, the Beavers are basically the B team of high school, you know, the geeks, the dweebs, the losers, you know, the awkward people. And of course, Michael J. Fox is on that team, and of course, his rival, Mick, is on the opposing team. And, well, of course, it's awkward. The Dragons win, and he takes a few rips from his enemy, while at the same time getting encouragement from his best friend Styles. Well, I don't know if he's really his best friend in the movie. He's basically a pain in the butt. And of course, they're getting their butts kicked in the game, and the coach is too much to the point where their coach, Bobby Finstock, is begging the other coach, you know, to forfeit the game, and he's like, no. And he's like, why not? If we quit now, you can beat rush hour traffic. He's like, my players win every game. It's part of their record. We want to keep that record going. And he goes, well, if we quit now, you can beat traffic. And he's like, well, there's a lot to learn from losing, man. Of course, they lose, and they get in the locker room. There's talk going on in there between, well, the captain yelling at everyone else to basically, captain of the Beavers, to basically move their butts because he's the only one carrying the team. And of course, Scott is arguing with one of his friends, Chubbs, played by Ozzy. The guy, yeah, Ozzy. And he tells him that, what the heck is he eating and why is he hiding in his locker? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, dude, you're supposed to be on a diet, and look. And he basically pulls out every snack food known to man. Well, that was popular back then. And I can kind of relate. I hide snacks too, like when I'm in the mood, but not like him. I mean, he pulls out boxes of cookies, boxes of candy, and chips, and everything, and of course, liverwurst. I mean, who puts that in your locker? I mean, I understand if it's a bag, but if you just leave it out, the stench is just awful. And he's as he's doing that, he tells him, "Dude, stop snooping around in my stuff." He's like, "But man, I could smell that junk all the way over there." And he's like, "Really? Underneath these?" And he takes his sweaty, smelly socks and shoves them in his face, and then that's when Styles pops in, and he's like basically trying to con everybody into giving him money so he can buy buy a big jug of alcohol, a big thing of alcohol, and of course nobody's falling for it. First he bugs Scott, and he's like, "Hey, bro, you know that money you owe me?" He's like, "You owe me money. What are you talking about?" He's like, "Dude, but it's important. If I don't come up with the cash for that, if I don't come up with the alcohol tonight, they won't let me in." And he's like, "Nah, I'm not giving it to you." He's like, "Okay, but we're still hooking up before the party, right?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah." He's like, "All right." And he goes to the opposing team, and he's like, "Hey, what's up, man?" And he's just bugging them to give him money. Of course, the bully who's on the rival team gets him, and he tosses him out. And he's like, "Dude, can we talk for a bit?" Basically trying to con him, and it doesn't work. And one thing we notice is that the changes start occurring. Well, they started occurring in the game, and with his aggressiveness taking hold. And then in the locker room, you notice the hair starting to grow out of him, and he's freaking out about it. And then next thing you know, he goes to talk to the coach and tells him that he's basically unsure what's going on with himself. And of course, the coach doesn't really understand. He thinks that he wants to quit the team, and then he tries to tell him about another player that quit the team. That his mother was sick, and he had to get 2-3 jobs to help her because the dad wasn't around or something like that. And then of course, you get intrigued about what happened to the kid, and of course, Scott does too. And he's telling him what happened to the kid. He's like, he quit. He's a third stringer. I didn't need him anyway. He's like, "But I'm a first stringer." He's like, "Yeah, but and you already got a job working for your guy, your father. I mean, fact of the matter is, I should be coming to you when I need money." And then he tells him, "Okay, thanks for the advice, coach. I'm out of here." And he's like, "It's no problem. I'm always here. Mi casa, su casa." And I'm like, you really didn't give him advice. He was just there, munching on his KFC, which is, of course, the product placement. I mean, I love KFC, but it's so funny. And he leaves, and he runs into his best friend in the whole world / potential love interest, Booth, who walks him to work. And of course, they were in this style. And he's like, "Hey, Booth, how are you?" And Scott whispers to her, "Tell him no." And she's like, "No, go away." He's like, "Well, it's nice talking to you," and he drives away. And as they're walking, he's telling her about a weird dream he had about his crush, his best friend, and himself involving chickens. They don't really detail what the dream is about. And then she basically tells him, "You could do a." He asks her, "What's wrong with me?" And she's like, "Do you shower after basketball?" He's like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Then I don't have a problem with you. Why? What's wrong?" And he goes, "Well, if you don't have, if there's nothing wrong with me, why won't my crush, Pamela Wells, say 2 words to me?" I mean, and she tells him, "You could do a lot better than Pamela." And he's like, "Well, who?" And then she gets all frustrated with him, basically saying, "Me, dummy, duh." Even I understood that, and I really don't understand the opposite sex. I'm still trying to understand it to this day. And he's trying to figure out why she's upset with him, and she's like, "No, just go to work. I'll see you later at the party." And of course, he gets there. He's talking to his dad, and the dad's co-worker, and she basically looks at him and is like, "What was the score?" And he laughs, and like as if to say she already knows that they lost. And he goes to the dad, and the dad's like, hey son, how was your game? What was the score? And he's about to say it, and then next thing you know, he tells him stop because I'm doing inventory and I don't want to lose my count. And they're talking about, because they were in a hardware store and he was counting the nuts and bolts. And then as they're counting, Scott gets disturbed by a really loud, high-pitched sound in his ear. And as they're talking, he's trying to tell his dad something important. And next thing, as he's trying to, the sound just gets louder and louder, and he gets irritated. So he follows the sound to this little boy playing with a whistle. And so he sneaks around and pops the whistle out of the boy's mouth, smacks it out of his mouth, like just, and he catches it and he's like, the dang thing's broken, and he walks away. And he looks at it, he's like, he was using a dog whistle, what the heck? And the next thing you know, of course he goes home with his dad, and they're talking, and he goes, Dad, has anything I was thinking about, first he tells him about, I'm thinking about joining the school play. He's like, but why? You're in basketball. Doesn't your teammates need you? I mean, theater has its place, but what about your commitment to the team? And he goes, he looks at his dad and he goes, has anything really strange ever happened to you? Like, beyond bizarre? And he's like, he looks at me, he's like, okay, it's starting to happen to you. And basically it's implying that the dad goes through the same thing. And he tells him, I think me and you need to have a chat. But right then and there, as soon as they're about to talk and he's about to explain the whole ordeal, Styles walks in, and man, I just love this guy. They picked the right guy to play Styles. I mean, the attitude and everything. He walks in and he's basically being chill, being annoying, being their Urkel, eating their food, being a pain in the butt. And he picks him up for the party, and he's like, Dad, is it okay if I go? He's like, yeah, I'll pick up your mess. It's okay, it's cool. And then he tells him, but don't worry, we'll talk when you get back. He's like, okay. And then they're like, he goes, should we pick up booth? And he's like, no, we're gonna meet her there. I'm like, okay. And then he tells him, he looks at Styles and he notices something. First, he looks in the mirror and he notices something weird in his skin. He tells him, Styles, do you know anything weird about a rash or infection that's going on in school? He's like, no, but I did find out that the shop teacher got caught in a very awkward position. And he's like, okay, forget I asked. And so they head to the party. But what's funny is, and this is the funny part, because it happened to him before. They stopped by this liquor store, which Styles had stopped by before to buy a cake. Well, buy alcohol, technically. It's a big thing of alcohol. But the guy didn't budge. And Styles they all do look adult. And Styles looks more adult than anybody. And he was dressed up and he's making up a lie. And of course, the guy didn't buy it. And he tells him, I need to see your ID, sport. So they go back again and they concoct this little scheme that, okay, we're gonna, you put this in your pocket and tell him, give me a cake, and you give him the money. So that way you won't get in trouble for anything. And basically, it's a toy gun, it's a water gun or something. And he tells him, dude, why? And he goes, just do it. And he goes, you know what? Give me the gun. Give me the thing. Give me the weapon. Give me the money. And he throws the weapon in the car. And he goes, dude, what are you doing? He's like, I'm going to try and buy it. He's like, dude, this guy is serious. It's not going to work. No matter what you do, he's not going to buy it. He's not going to buy this. He's like, I'm just going to try it. As he walks in, of course, their other friend, Lewis, just like looks at him and tells him, basically repeating to him what he told him earlier. Never say. And he basically shuts him up, but he still says, never say die. And it's funny because when he gets in there, and of course, two females buy their own They purchase their own set of alcohol and they leave. And he's there and he's like sweating and nervous and he's like, "Sir, I'd like a thing of alcohol, please." And he's like, "Yeah, don't say." He's like, "Yeah, how much do you charge for that?" And he's like, "You kids are you think I'm very dumb, don't you?" He's like, "No ID, no alcohol. Can't you get it?" And basically that stresses Scott out and he gets mad. And he basically, his eyes start glowing red, like glowing red like the set of a freaky horror flick, you know. And he speaks like kind of like a, what do you call it? This real deep voice, growly voice, like kind of like a mix between Gozer, the Gozer monster, or the Zool monster from Ghostbusters. What do you call it? Hulk, a little bit. And he tells him, "Give me, give me a thing of alcohol, please." Well, he doesn't say please. I'm just being nice here. He's like, "Give me a thing of alcohol," and the guy like looks like he's gonna pee himself. And of course, he goes and gets it. He goes, "Oh, and these," which is he picks up a bag of Kenny. He goes, "And these two." So he gets those, and of course they're driving, and Styles is driving with the thing of alcohol next to him, like if it's a person, and Scott's with the other friend Lewis, and he tells him, "What'd you tell the guy in the store?" And he's like, "I just told him to give me the thing of alcohol." And of course, throughout the whole thing, they're talking, they're discussing the fact that Scott has a thing for his crush. Her name is Pamela Wells. She's a blonde, tall blonde. But Lewis tells him, "You better off staying away from her and going for a booth. She likes you, and Pamela doesn't even notice you. But and if you pursue it any further, your rival's gonna kill you because he was in prison for a while. The reason why he's in school is because he just got out. And of course, Scott, being a hormone teenager, denies that. He thinks it's just a whole lie. And they're arguing, and the next thing you know, Styles pulls up to him and tells him pull over real quick. So they swap cars. He swaps positions with Lewis. Lewis takes his car. He gets in the van. He's like, "What are you guys gonna do? I don't even have my license." Like, just do it and don't, not too close to us. Just go slow and you'll be fine. And of course, when they started up, Styles gets on the roof and he does this awesome routine on top of the roof, kind of like he's surfing the streets of and it's so funny because I think this is what inspired that "I am the tiger" thing from Supernatural, because it's so awesome. It's one of my favorites. And during this scene, Scott has a moment where he freaks out because he notices that his ears are getting into a different shape, and which causes him to make Styles fall on his butt. He doesn't hurt himself, but he just falls on he's still on the roof, but he falls on his butt. And he's like, "Are you all right?" He's like, "Yeah, dude, just watch the waves." And of course, they get to the party, and he brings in the alcohol, but the guy tells him, "Oh," and he's like, "Dude, did I tell you that I was gonna bring it? I brought it, man. I brought it." He's like, "Okay, put it down over there." And ironically, there's a bunch of things, big gigantic canisters of that brew, and he's like, "If we don't get to it tonight, take it home." He's like, and you're just the look on Styles' face, like, what the heck? I just went through all this crud, and there's a bunch right there. And it's so funny because at this party, like, it's just a bunch of wild and crazy things going on, like extreme truth or dare. And Styles is basically the host of that, where he has two people like switch clothes and then go ask a guy for fluids, and then he asks one girl to basically carry gelatin in her clothing while Ozzy eats it out of her clothes. And next thing you know, Booth is next. Well, yes, Scott's friend, his best friend, is next, and they tell her who's on your paper, and it's a kid named Malcolm, but and his and the girl that he likes has him, but his best friend says Scott. And what's so funny is that well, earlier when they got to the party, what he told his best friend is, why won't my crush notice me? She did notice, she did notice him at the party, but she didn't care because he walks up to her and he's like, "Are you waiting for somebody special?" And he's like, she looks at him like, "Not you." And the best friend walks by and tells him, "There you go. She said 2 words to you." And ironically, during the party, they're playing the game. They're at the party playing the game, and she says, his best friend says that she got him. So so Styles hooks them up with 7 minutes and have him basically locking them in the closet so they can make out. And of course, she admits she lied. She got Malcolm, but she didn't like him. She didn't want to spend time with him, so they get in there, and of course, they're awkwardly trying to make out while a bunch of other stuff, while the rest of the craziness is going out there. And while they're making out, he's getting all excited, kind of like the Incredible Hulk, where his beastie side, animal side is coming out of him. Because even to the point where she has to stop and slap him because he's scratching her real hard with his fingernails. And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And the next thing you know, they open the thing and bust them making out. And it's nothing serious. I mean, they have messy hair, of course. And then when they leave, they ask, "How was it coming out of the closet?" And she goes, "It was invigorating." And she walks away, and there's it looks basically like Freddy Krueger got her. Like, you just see slash marks on her back, on her shirt, on the back of her shirt, and it's interesting. And next thing you know, is they're having fun. Ozzy looks at Scott and he's like, "Dude, what's that on your back? Dude, it looks like a rash." And he's freaking out. And the next thing you know, he heads home because he feels weird. And so as he goes home, the dad notices that he's in a rush, so he heads over to him. But Scott locks the door to the restroom, and he's looking at him. So then he starts like going through his metamorphosis. He's going through his version of puberty, where he's fully turning into a werewolf, a teen wolf. And it's ironic because he looks like he could be the son of Chewbacca or Sasquatch from Alpha Flight. It's just so cool, and he's freaking out about it. And of course, his dad's telling him, open the door, we need to talk. He's like, "No, Dad, not right now. I'm doing something in here." And he's like, "You can't help me." He's like, "You'd be surprised. Why don't you just open the door, we can talk?" He's like, "No, I don't want to talk right now." He's like, "Open the door right now, because you don't want to see me upset." Of course, he opens the door, and he's like, "Okay, Dad, but you asked for it." He opens the door, and boom, his dad is like him, but with silver hair. And he's like, "An explanation is probably overdue." He's like, "Are you kidding me? How can you explain this?" He's like, "I was hoping that I wouldn't have to. I thought it would skip you." And he's like, "Well, it didn't skip me. It landed all over me. And I can't believe you knew about this and you didn't tell me." And he goes in his room, he shuts the door. The dad still wants to talk to him. He's like, "Dad, I'm not in the mood to talk. Leave me alone." Of course, the next morning, they finally have that talk. And he tells him, "I finally understand, Dad. It was the full moon." He's like, "No, it's not the full moon." He's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, that really doesn't work." He's like, "What? So now I'm gonna have to dodge silver bullets? I'm gonna have to steal babies? I'm gonna have to eat chickens?" He's like, "Don't believe what you hear in the movies. It's just a thing. It's just a gene thing. It's nothing. It's just regular people doing regular stuff, but we're different." He's like, "How?" He's like, "Well, when you want it, you can have great power, and with great power has a greater responsibility." And part of me is like, he stole that from Spider-Man. And it's ironic, and he's like still a little bit freaked out because he's like, I'm allergic to eggs. I go through this, I go through that, I go through this. I don't need this, Dad. And he walks away. And he goes to school. And at school, it's still on his mind. You know, every class he's at, they talk about. Every class he's at, he thinks about his metamorphosis, the wolf side. No matter what class he's in, ironically. And then during math class, it overwhelms him to the point where he starts changing slowly. So he goes and he runs to the restroom. And during that time, when he's running to the restroom, he finally makes it, and he's trying to calm himself down, but he runs into the principal, and the principal hates him. It's not revealed why yet, but he hates him, and he's like, "Let me see your hands." And he's like, "Let me see your hands now." And he shows him his hands. Like, "You don't have a marker on you, do you?" He's like, "No, sir." He's like, "I got my eye on you, and if you ever mess up, you're out of here." And it's kind of cold, but it's explainable why later. So the next thing you know, after all that craziness, he goes home and starts walking around thinking, you know. He goes home and first he runs into Styles, and him and Styles are chilling and relaxing. No, wait, I'm jumping ahead of myself. He doesn't go home. He's getting ready for practice for the game. And during the game, he's overwhelmed by a lot of guys because he gets all stressed out. And he ends up revealing his true nature. And during that time, no, I was right, sorry. He's with Styles, and Styles is looking for, again, I'm sorry, it's a little late. I want to do this, and I'm a little bit exhausted, but I'm still going to do this, sorry. Well, anyway, back to what I was saying. He's there in Styles' house in the garage, and they're looking for something to basically cool themselves down, like calm themselves down. I'm not going to say it on here because I don't want to get in trouble. And of course, Scott tells him, "I guess I'm going to tell you, man." He's like, "What? Do you prefer the company of guy men? Because if you're going to tell me that, I can't deal with it." He's like, "No, dude, I'm a werewolf." And he's like, "What?" Well, he doesn't really say what. He's like, "Where the heck is that bag? Where the heck is my stuff?" And of course, in the background, he turns and he reveals himself, and he's like, turns around, and he's like, "What the?" He's like, "Dude, it's me. I told you." And he's like, he touches his face. He's like, "Oh man, dude, you're glad you came to this to me. Came to me with this, because with the word angles, we could turn this into something awesome." He's like, "What could a teen wolf do?" And he's like, "Dude, this is only between you and me, and I can help you find what you're looking for." He's like, "Really?" And he goes to the same spot that Styles was in. He's like, "Dude, but I heard trigger," and he finds it, and he gives it to him. And of course, he tells him, "Dude, don't tell anybody, all right? Don't." You know? And of course, he goes home and he runs into Booth, and she's there playing with the dad basketball. And of course, the dad tells him, "Hey, you need to walk her home." He's like, "Dad, I just got here." He's like, "Just walk her home." In other words, implying that those two need to get together. And when they're walking home, he basically talks to her about that he's sick of being average. He's sick of being, just a fly on the wall, and nobody really notices him. And she goes, "I can see why you like her. She's very pretty, and you got a lot to offer too. And so if she doesn't see that, you deserve better." And he's like, but I'm tired of being average. I want to be more. And he dropped her off at. Then after that, they go back, and it goes back to the course school time, and it's during the game, one of the games, and of course, like I said, he gets overwhelmed by all the people and everything, and of course, the principal thinks they suck, and he's like, "We're not doing too well, do we?" Like, and the coach is like, "Well, maybe it's the shoes," and of course, Scott they pile on him, and because he has the ball, and he changes during that pileup and reveals his secret to everybody. And he's just playing. Everyone's just staring at him like they're seeing something there and seeing a scene, period. And he starts playing the game, and everyone's just like, okay, let's play ball. And of course, they start winning because of Scott. And he becomes basically the biggest thing in town since, I don't know, I guess the Big Mac or something, because everyone's paying attention to him. Styles is like selling his image and everything. Everybody wants him, even his like, well, except for the principal. But Scott's like, I'm no different than anyone else. The only one that's not really thrilled about it is his friend Lewis, which it kind of scares him. It's not really why, but it scares him. And like when everyone finds out, everyone loves him and thinks it's cool, and even his crush is noticing him. And it's so funny because he's getting popular to the point where everyone's slowly ignoring him. Everyone's starting to hate him, like, because they're winning, but they hate him, which is weird but it makes sense. When you get money or fame, those closest to you will not like you. And he tries to explain it to his dad, and of course, his dad tells him to, chill, to get a hold of it, because the only one that still likes him technically is Booth and Styles. Everyone else just like those that like him now. They don't really like him. They're just using him. Even this theater arts teacher, he hires him for a play that his crush is in, but he only wants him when he's in the wolf mode. And it's getting to the point where when he gets home, he's talking to his dad, and he tells him, like, that sometimes the pressure just gets to him. And he's like, well, is your principal still on your back? He's like, yeah, along with the whole entire basketball team and some douchewad named Nick. He's like, well, you dug your own hole with them, but your principal, that's my fault. And he's like, well, why? And he goes, well, you know that me and your mother have been in love with each other. We've been in love with each other since we were kids. And we always knew that we were going to get together. But for some reason, your principal fell for your mom and wouldn't leave us alone. Everywhere when he was there. And it got to the point where I was getting irritated, and I turned into the werewolf out of anger. And he goes, "Ooh, how'd that go?" And he's like, your principal just basically messed his pants." And he's like, "I wish I could have been there to see that." And he's like, "Yeah, but I don't know who was more scared, me or him." He's like, "Why were you scared?" He's like, "Because I turned into the werewolf out of rage. And sometimes I feel like I can lose control. And I don't want to." It's like, and he goes, "I'm telling you this because the werewolf is a part of you, but it doesn't control you. You control it." And it's been shown because, of course, when he was with his crush, there was a moment where he almost lost control due to his rival basically making fun of his mother. I mean, who wouldn't get upset with that? I would. I would be pissed. I'm sorry. I would be upset about it if that happened. But him, he almost went Hulk on the guy, but he didn't do anything. Of course, his crush don't. It's revealed that his crush doesn't really care about him. She just wanted his attention and the fame that he had, and she only let him experience her because of that. Because it's revealed when he asks her to the dance, and she's like, "I'm still going to the dance with Nick, your rival." And he's like, "But me and you had a moment." And he's like, and she goes, "Yeah, and your point is," and it's kind of a low blow, but it makes sense. And it upsets him, of course, and then it gets to the point where, like I said, he's right when he told his dad that everyone hates him because when he goes to school, all his basketball friends don't want to be around him because he's the more popular guy and they don't get to play. But the coach doesn't care. You know, he just tells him 3 rules that he lives by that really don't make sense. And of course, he tries to talk to Booth about, about everything because nobody wants to talk to him, not even his best friend Lewis. He's avoiding him, he's afraid of him, it's not revealed why. And of course, it gets to the point where when he's with Booth, he's happy, he's content, he doesn't worry about being a wolf. So he, thinks that, I'm gonna stop being a wolf for a while. Of course, it affects him to the point where even the theater teacher gets mad. He's like, "You need to wolf it up, or you're not gonna have a part." He's like, "We'll see it," and he leaves. And everyone else is like bugging him about it. No, that's not bugging him. It's his best friend that really cares for him. She understands that if he's gonna be a person, he should be a person. If he's gonna be the wolf, he should be the wolf. And of course, it gets to the point where they start discussing that, that he's tired of being average and wants to be popular, but he wants to be himself at the same time. And she understands that he likes Pamela, but she knows that that his crush doesn't really care. She's just using him, and she tries to explain it to him, but he still doesn't get it, not yet. And so he ends up telling her, "Well, how about you go to the dance with me?" And of course, she tells him, "Okay, I'll go with you, but on condition, you have to take me." And he's like, "But I just asked you right now." He's like, No. She's like, "No, I want you to take me, not your alter ego, not the wolf." And he's like, okay, well, and she goes, he basically starts playing with her, and she's like, "Don't push it." And of course, he gets ready for the dance, and I love that scene because it's so awesome the way he does it with the hair and everything. And it's playing Saturday Night Fever because he's actually wearing the suit. It's so cool. And he gets there and he's in all wolf, and of course everyone's looking at him like he's the king, except for his rival, who said because his woman wants to be with Scott because he's in wolf form. And of course, he's dancing with Booth, and they're having a time. They're having an awesome time, and the guy gets jealous, and then they go outside. They start talking, and she's like, "Whether you're the wolf or not, I still care for you, and I accept you." And she starts making out with him, and it allows him to calm down and be himself again. And she goes, "I just wanted to dance with you for a bit." So they go back in, and they're dancing. They're having fun. And of course, his rival gets upset. Nick gets upset and starts beating him up, and he tells him, "Stay away from my girl. Stick with your own kind, like her." And he basically insults his friend, his best friend, and it upsets him. So he hulks out back into the wolf and just rips off the dude's shirt. And of course, Nick gets ticked off and he wants to fight him, and everyone else just looks at him like, "Oh crud, this guy has rage. He's gonna hurt us." And of course, he walks out because he realizes he did wrong, and he's about to go home. But the principal stops him. He's like, "You have no idea how long I waited to bust you." He's like, "You're never gonna be playing basketball or going here again. You're out." But right when he's about to do that, the dad shows up and basically tells off the principal, making him mess himself again. So from then on, the principal leaves Scott alone, and he gets home the next day. He decides he's not gonna be the wolf anymore. He's done. Of course, his best friends, try to console him. Booth is like, even though you're not gonna be the wolf, why do you have to quit the team? And of course, he's like, they don't need me. And then of course, Styles wants him to be the wolf because that's how he makes bank. That's because he's selling like memorabilia of Scott as the wolf. And he's like, "I'm not gonna do it again." And of course, the theater guy tells him that he needs to wolf up for the play. And he's like, "No, I'm gonna play the part as myself. If you want me to be in it, I'm gonna be myself." He's like, if you don't become the wolf, you ain't gonna be in the play." He's like, he just walks away like, "See ya." And the guy's like, "Oh man, this sucks." Of course, they play the game, and they're afraid. Like, they're starting the game, and of course, Scott shows up in uniform, and the only ones that are happy to see him that way is his best friend and his father, because they see that he accepts himself as, and the wolf is one person, but he accepts himself more. And it gets to the point where the coach is like, "You're missing something. In other words, can you wolf up? Because this is the championship." And he's like, "I'm not doing the wolf. We're playing the game. I'm gonna play the game as me." And everyone's like, "Wolf, wolf, wolf." And everyone's like, they want to win. And he's like, "Okay, well, it's your funeral, dude." Never, even the players that were rude to him, they want him to wolf up. And he's like, "No, yeah, I don't need that. We're good as we are, and we can take these guys." And of course, they're able to win. They're able to kick butt. Each of them finds their niche and their skill, and they're able to win. Mostly due to the fact that the bully keeps pushing Scott, which causes them to foul, and he's able to do like a 2-pointer shots, and they win. And when they win, everyone's happy. And of course, Scott runs over to his girl, and of course, the ditzy blonde Pamela Wells thinks it's her, and he just ducks her, like, "Get out of the way," and he runs over to his best friend, and he just takes her in his arms and he kisses her. And of course, the blonde girl Pamela Wells gets pissed off because, like, he's done chasing me. What the heck? And, like, all she did was string him along. She always wanted the guy, wanted Nick. Of course, when Nick gets there, he tries to get her to go with him, and she's like, "Drop dead, leave me alone." And she leaves. And I was like, "Man, I lost my little puppy. I lost the one thing that always chased me around." And of course, everyone's just happy and jumping around because they're celebrating. And of course, Scott, his dad, and his girl, are hugging and embracing. And of course, it ends right there. And it's an awesome movie. I'm sorry if I jumped around a lot, but it's a great movie. In my opinion, I love it. I think it's pretty good. It's pretty decent. It's basically about things you go through, the changes in your body when you're a teenager, but not in a gross American Pie type of way. In an awesome, triumphant. You're emerging from a cocoon, a caterpillar from a cocoon into a butterfly, in this case, an awkward teenager turning into a werewolf. But it's still awesome. It's a good movie. I mean, Michael J. Fox did pretty good in this movie, and it's ironic, because Back to the Future, the house that was used in Teen Wolf was used in Back to the Future. You know, the whole story, the whole premise is good. It's very decent. The actors do a pretty good job. Um, you know, Even though it's a Michael J. Fox centered movie, each person that gets screen time does phenomenal. They give it their all, and it's great. You know, and it's not. There is some brief adult themes in it, but it's not the focus. And what's ironic is that the whole thing was supposed to be a whole different script. I learned this from, again, the YouTuber Minty Comedic Arts. They that originally it was supposed to be like a kind of like a superhero flick, like he was supposed to fight or do some skills in it. It would have been interesting to see. I mean, that's one thing I would change if I made this movie. I would have let that happen. Of course, they brought it up on the TV show when Teen Wolf became a TV show. That's when they changed it up to be like that. I would done something like that. Like, had him explore more of his abilities more other than just sports. Have him, test his strength, test his, agility. Of course, you saw that in sport, but like when it came to fighting, because all he did was just scratch the dude's shirt. Like, have him explore more characters. Like, maybe there's another bad wolf in town in there, and it's his enemy Nick, his bully Nick. He's something. I don't know. You could have made him a Kenema or a were-jaguar or a were-lion or something like that, and have them duke it out. When they're both fighting for supremacy. You got Scott. I could tell he was an alpha because red eyes or something. Against Nick as the low end or the were-lion, the were-hyena, or the berserker, or whatever you want to call it, or kitsune. Fighting for supremacy of the town or of the school. That would have been interesting. Seeing that. Seeing more of the senses. Seeing how he sees through the eyes when they're red. Seeing in his eyes when he's out at night. Because he mentioned the full moon, but of course they dispelled that with the dad explaining that sometimes the rules don't apply. But see him act a little weird with the full moon. To a point. I mean, I know there's the show, the show by MTV, but again, I'm discussing the movie, and in my opinion, that's what I would do if I was doing the movie. I would explore more of that. I mean, of course, they wanted to do budgets and time constraints back then, and they were limited with certain technologies, but they did pretty good with what they had. I mean, look at the way they made Michael J. Fox look when he was in wolf form. It was awesome. And I've seen them do that with movies, back then, and they were pretty good. Pretty decent. They had imagination. They tried. It wasn't all computer generated everything. They didn't rely on the computers or CGI to make them look good. They just found ways, and they could have done it. I believe they could have done it. They could have made something good. I mean, but I love the movie the way it is. It has a good story of no matter what situation you're in, you'll always rise. There'll always be a way out. There'll always be whether you're the geek, the one that nobody notices, the wallflower, the nerd. You never get the girl that you want, but you get what you need. You can rise. You can rise above. You're a loser. You can become a winner. You're a geek and nerd. You can be successful. You're the one that you want doesn't notice you. You get someone better. That's the whole premise of the story. Like, because you see with him, the main character, he wanted the girl of his dreams. He got the girl of his dreams, not the one he expected, but he got her. The teammates, they wanted to be champions, of course. They wanted to win. The coach and everybody, through trying, even though it was mostly Scott who carried him through with his cockiness and his ability, they succeeded. And at the championship, they succeeded in winning and achieving that goal. It's an interesting story. I mean, I recommend it. You know, it's one of my favorites. If you're into cheesy '80s movies, this is a good one. This is a definite good one. Of course, you got your moments, and again, it depends on parents and adults what they're okay with exposing to the children. There's incidences of like quick incidences of sexuality, of drugs, of alcohol in this film. A few bad languages, brief ones though, but it's a good film. I like it. I think it's pretty good. Like I said, the things I would change, you already know. Honestly, I can't name anything really wrong with it. To my knowledge, I think it's pretty decent. I mean, all the characters, all the actors, they did a great job, a phenomenal job. Can't hold a candle to the TV show. Can't hold a candle to it. I mean, it's pretty awesome. I love the TV show too, but the movie has a real special place in my heart. I like it more than its sequel. For other reasons, I might watch and discuss the sequel next time, depending. But that's my point of view on the movie. That's what I think about the 1985 Teen Wolf film. Even though it was a little jumbled, my review, I think it was pretty good. I think it was a pretty good film. I think it was pretty decent with the budget and the technology back then. They did a real good job. Props to the director. Props to everyone that was in the film. I know y'all did a great job. Everyone that was involved with the film, great job. Please don't reboot it. I know they kind of rebooted it for TV, but don't reboot it as a movie again, because it's just no, just don't. But that's my thoughts on Teen Wolf. And since a few days Halloween, the month of October is gonna go. I might do some more, a mix of Halloween and Christmas, depending on what your thoughts are. If you want to do that, we respond to my Twitter. I have a poll there debating between whether or not to do that in November. A mix of Halloween and Christmas, since I didn't really have an opportunity to do Christmas, to do Halloween movies. Sorry. Well, anyway, that's my thoughts on the film. What are your thoughts on the film? Do you like it? Do you hate it? What'd you like about it? What would you change if you could? What other films do you enjoy watching on Halloween or Christmas? This is one film I like to watch all the time, whether it's Halloween, Christmas, Thanksgiving, summer, winter, fall, whatever. I can watch it almost every day. It's one of my favorites. I don't really care how old it is or dated it is to some people, Of course, nowadays people get offended with everything, so they might get offended with this, but in my opinion, it's a classic. It's a classic period, and it will never grow old for me. I can watch it every day. But that's just me. And leave it in the comments what you thought about the film, what you thought about my review. Of course, I'm not that real popular right now, but I don't really care. I like movies. I like talking about movies. Just leave it down in the comments what your thoughts on the film were, what you would change if you could. You like it? You didn't like it? What was wrong with it? What do you think of Michael J. Fox's performance? What other movies of his do you enjoy? Things like that. Just leave it in the comments. Tell me, what do you think of my new videos that I'm doing? Do you like them? I'm still gonna do them, but I just want your opinion. Do you like them? Hate them? Would you recommend it? What movie would you recommend for me to do? Whether you can drop it in my comment section, or you can
tweet me some movies. You can recommend them to me in the inbox. I mean, in the comments or in the Twitter. You can recommend them anytime. I always check those every day, so be sure to respond. But please be polite, and hope you have a good time.